If you love easy cards that produce winning results every time, you're going to love today's video. Hi, everybody. I'm Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com, and I'm so glad you could join me for today's video. I've got 3 cards to share with you. We're going to create these 2 cards today. And guys, today's layout is super simple, and I think you're going to really enjoy how quick and easy you're going to be able to create cards that you can send to family and friends. So let's get started with our cards today. We're going to start with our Christmas card today, and the supplies you need is a piece of Poppy Parade cardstock. That's your base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. I've got 3 pieces of Whisper White today. So I have a piece that is 4 inches by 5.25. That's going to go on the inside of my card. This is just a scrap, actually. This is going to be for your focal image. Mine is, I believe it's about a 2.5 by 3.5, but again, it's going to be determined on what image you're using. And my last piece of Whisper White, it's the same thing. This is my sentiment. So the size you cut is what will fit your sentiment. My piece is 1/2 inch by 5.5. I always recommend you just go ahead and cut it 5.5. You've got plenty of room, but you just want to measure that 1/2 inch, 3/4, whatever that's going to be based on your sentiment. Now, to go along with that, I've got a piece of Granny Apple Green, and you notice that's just going to layer right on top. So whatever the white piece is, so mine 1/2 inch, you're going to want to go up 1/4 inch. So my Granny Apple Green is 3/4 inch by 5.5. So just take it up 1/4 inch, whatever size your sentiment is. Now I've got another piece here of Granny Apple Green. This is 2.75 by 3.75. On top of that, look at that great polka dot. This is the designer series paper from Trimming the Town. I almost said it wrong. And that is layering inside 2.5 by 3.5. The stamp set I'm going to use on my card today is the Triangle stamp set. Now, I got to tell you why I love this stamp set so much. First of all, we got a lot of great tree images and great images, but it goes along with a die set that you may already have because this is from the annual catalog. This is the Stitched Triangle die set, and it is nice that this is something you might already have. If you do, you're going to want to add the triangle to go along with it. So that is the die set that we're going to use, but if you don't have it, not to worry. If you have this stamp set, you can fussy cut a triangle. I know you can. 3 ink pad colors today: Granny Apple Green, Poppy Parade, and Early Espresso. I will start with my Granny Apple Green. And remember, this is that scrap piece of Whisper White. And I'm going to ink up my tree. We're going to stamp it right there on the Whisper White. We can now bring in the matching stitch triangle die, and we can die cut that. Remember, you can fussy cut it. And so we're going to go ahead. Let me go die cut that for you very quickly. I'm going to start with my Early Espresso ink pad. Remember, this is for the inside of my card. I have got that triangle there, and we're going to take this, we're going to stamp this right up here in the upper left corner, and there's a tree stump as well. So in that Early Espresso, let's take our little tree stump and add that down here at the bottom. Now this tree could use some love, don't you think? So I'm going to bring in a Poppy Parade ink pad, and look at these great poinsettias that come with this stamp set. It's a triangle, so you can stamp it whatever direction you need to. We're going to stamp that right there in the middle. And you're going to love this. There is a stamp of leaves that go around it, so we can get a great pop of green. So that's going to be our Granny Apple. Now, I will tell you, it's a triangle, so you may have to rotate the leaves around until you figure out how they go around your poinsettias. It's a good thing there's only 3 sides, so it's not that hard to figure out. Doesn't that look great? I love it. We're going to add a sentiment to this. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I've had a little too much coffee today, and I'm worried about getting this straight. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stamp greetings at an angle. Now I'm going to take the word Merry. I'm going to do that here in my Poppy Parade, and this way I don't have to worry about it being straight. Isn't that a great tip? All right, I'm going to set that off to the side because that's everything for the inside. Now we're going to do a little stamping here on the outside. Back in with that Poppy Parade, and we have a little star. It's simple, it's sweet, it's Christmassy. So I'm just going to randomly stamp my star. I'm actually going to focus on just the outside edges because my focal image is going to be right there in the middle. So this will just save me from having to do more than maybe I really wanted to do. And you notice you just rotate your cardstock around. That's what's going to make it go super fast. All right, that was quick, right? Okay, so with that being done, we're going to work on our sentiment. Now, before I actually work with the sentiment and start stamping, I'm going to bring in my punch. And this is the Banners Pick-a-Punch. We're going to slide that 1/2 inch strip right inside. That way I get a perfect punch. My 3/4 inch granny apple, you notice it fits right into that groove. And that way I get perfect punches. And because my banner is green, I'm going to stamp my sentiment in the Poppy Parade. Happy wishes for you and yours. We're going to stamp that over on the right side of our banner. Yep. And now we can put our card together. I am simply going to adhere my designer series paper to my granny apple green. And now I'm going to adhere that to the front of my card. I have gone ahead and I adhered my sentiments together, to that granny apple. I have some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. We'll add that. Again, we want the banner it's going to get kind of close to the right-hand side. There is my tree that I die cut. Do you see that stitched going around it? I love it. And we're going to add that right here. It's going to cover up that edge. Now, I don't know about you, but a Christmas tree's got to have a star, right? And look at this from all the trimmings. I have some little kind of gold stars here. This is why I always buy the embellishments because you never know what you're going to need until you need it, right? And look at this little star right there. And you know what? If I wanted to add one, I could add one right here to my sentiment. I think that looks really sweet. And if you wanted to add just a little more color, we've got these great little circles, which are going to make some incredible ornaments for my tree. So why don't we add just a few of those? Now remember, we had the inside of my card. I'm going to adhere that down. And just like that, I've got a really great little Happy Wishes Christmas card. Now, I've got another card to share with you. It's the same layout, but we're going to change it up and we're going to make a cookie card. I'll go over the colors and measurements very quickly. Pool Party, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. If you remember the piece that goes on the inside, Whisper White, 4 by 5 1/4. I've got a few more pieces of Whisper White here. This one, remember how I talked about the two different sizes for the sentiment? My sentiment needed to be 3/4 of an inch, so that's 3/4 by 5.5. I have a piece of Whisper White. This one, remember where we used the designer series paper, the 2.5 by 3.5? This time we're going to use cardstock and we're going to make our own little bit of designer series paper. And let's see, this is just a scrap of Whisper White. And then my layering piece there, Early Espresso, and that is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. My last piece is Crumb Cake for my sentiment, 5.5 by 1 inch. For this, I'm actually going to use some grid paper underneath me while I work. I'm going to start with an Early Espresso ink pad, and I'm going to stamp with the Nothing's Better Than stamp set. We're going to create a great cookie card. So you see we've got a 2-step cookie here. And so I'm going to start with the outline of the cookie. And we're just going to randomly stamp again because, that's what we've been doing a lot of. So this is going to kind of give us the opportunity to sort of make our own designer series paper. Now I'm going to come in with my crumb cake and the inside of my cookie. Now I got to tell you, this is a little dark. So I'm going to stamp off first and then stamp inside my cookie. See how that gives me a little bit lighter look? And I don't like burnt cookies. So we're just going to very quickly, we'll just stamp inside all of our cookies. Remember to stamp off each time. And then that scrap whisper white, we're going to stamp a cookie on there as well, because we're going to use that as a focal image. We're going to come in with the matching dies, and you see we have a cookie die. We're going to die cut that. If you don't have that, you can fussy cut it. Don't worry about those crumbs. We're not going to use those. We're going to come back in with that banner punch, slide that into the grooves, and that's going to ensure when it sets in that groove just right, it's going to ensure we get a perfect banner. In early espresso, we're going to stamp cookies all the way over on the right hand side. Then in the crumb cake, and no, we're not going to stamp off, you're just like. Now we're going to take a pool party ink pad, and we're going to take this little star that's in the Nothing's Better Than stamp set. This is one of my favorite little stamps. Just like you saw me do, we're going to go all around the edges. All right, we're going to put this card together. Now, you've already seen me put the card together, so I'm not going to go into detail about how to do that. There's my sentiment. You can see I've added dimensionals just like I did before. Add our sentiment there. There's that little cookie that we die cut. So we'll add that right there. And now at the inside of the card, you can see I just stamped the cookie and I said, you make everything better. So it's you're just like cookies, you make everything better. And then you can see I added a bow here in the corner, and you do that by just pressing that onto a mini glue dot. And that just gives it a little sparkle, and it goes so well with the pool party cardstock. So there we go. Let me bring in my other cards. Actually, I created 3 cards with this layout, and you can see they're all pretty much the same. And that little background designer series paper piece is the same on all the cards. All I did was change the sentiment and change the image that I put there on the left-hand side. It's a great layout. Hey, remember, you can see all of these images and order any of the supplies to create them by going over to simplysimplestamping.com. You'll see a complete supply list right there. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope that you were inspired by the projects I had for you. If you did, would you give me a thumbs up on YouTube? I always appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed, take a moment to click the great big red subscribe button in the corner. YouTube will let you know whenever I'm back with a new video. Thank you guys again for being here. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.